And all of these kids that are sort of connected to their church and stuff, that said, I couldn't come to youth group because I play soccer. So what they did was took their youth group to the soccer field on Saturday, have 42 youth show up like the very first time. They have kids sign up now for what snack the youth group, what healthy snack the youth group can bring them on the soccer field. Is that brilliant or what? That's taking it, looking at it, flipping it upside down and saying, how do we go to kids? Because you know, really, the truth is that when we get scared about the declining numbers in our church, we tend to turn inward and try to, grasp on to saving our church. And so we'll start saying, how do we get more families inside? But the families aren't coming inside. It isn't anymore, if you build it, they will come. So here's these two sitting over here, having found just one of the most creative things I've ever heard of taking what their reality is and figuring out how does the church go to them. And they delivered healthy snacks to their soccer kids, and they were tired because they were up late after this cleaning up, eating healthy class thing. What'd y'all make?
We made potatoes, sauce, ranch. Kind of like most of our families are from Mexico, so it was kind of a mixture of culturally at the same time.
And teaching them how to do it healthy.
And in cost-wise, it was $1.50 for each plate.
It was $1.50 per plate. Isn't that some brilliant youth ministry? So I said, okay, so afternoon, Miriam and Carlos, you get to teach. Because I thought that was just brilliant. That was exciting. Okay. So one of the number one struggles that we have in dealing in churches, whether it's children's ministry, youth ministry, is finding enough volunteers. It's hard recruiting volunteers because people are busy, or they'll say, I don't have kids that age in the program, or I have a life, or the one I love is when you talk to people and they say, well, I've done my time. Like working in the youth program is a prison sentence. I served in churches where you didn't dare agree to teach children Sunday school, because to get out of it, you had to will it away to someone. So, we're going to talk about this afternoon some ways to improve your recruiting and developing, and even sometimes having to get rid of volunteers, because it happens. To get started then, and Brad, you can get the lights here, or Trevor, our current light dude. We're going to watch a video clip that if the disciples were recruiting, and they had a recruiting spot they needed to fill after Judas Iscariot left his volunteer position. And so they had a spot to fill. Let's see how they filled it. Nope. Okay, talk amongst yourselves, subjects. How wonderfully technological I am. It's because I watched it. Keep talking.
Not talking, talk.
Subject is technology, friend or foe?
Episode 17, Disciple Draft.
Everybody right. We better run.
And now, another exciting installment of Origins of the Early Church. Episode 17, Disciple Draft.
Everybody right. We better run.
We're standing up. Turning.
Yeah, come on in. Hey, you must be Justice. That's me. Well, go ahead and have a seat. I see you brought your guitar.
I did.
Well, tell us, Justice, why do you want to be a disciple?
Well, I don't know. I love God.
Great. Go ahead and show us what you got.
All right. I like to play the guitar. Humble thyself in the sight of the Lord. Humble thyself in the sight of the Lord.
In your life's a mess, I wish you could see.
Man, I'm glad we skipped church. I heard this Sunday was on tithing. Wait! Ah! Where are we? It's so bright. So, tell us about your experience.
Okay, I have a lot of experience. I've served tons of gods, Baal, Molech.
Thank you.
I'm a very spiritual person.
Thank you. We're looking for someone who is very committed. Do you think that you can handle that?
Well, I don't know. What's it pay?
What do you mean my name's not in the book? I went to church every Sunday except this one.
Yo, we're undeniable disciples that are pliable. You can't hear a word speaking. We never work on the weekend. Take the Sabbath off. Never pick up the mat. Never rap soft. Always rap right. And that's how we fight. Verbally, never physically. I always rap metaphysically. Gotta hire me and my brother here. And if you don't, I'ma burn you like a McDonald's coffee. Okay, I think I'm done right here. End the rap and you hire me for the year. What you think of that?
Hey, thanks for coming, guys. We'll be in touch. Thank you all. James, is that it?
Thank goodness. I didn't think I could watch another drama.
Is that what it was?
It's your idea for the talent portion, John. So what do we got? I didn't see a single person that meets our requirements for a disciple.
I like Matthias.
Which one was that again?
He was the guy with the sticks.
Justice was pretty good. He couldn't carry a tune in a bucket. Yeah, but since when is singing one of the requirements for being a disciple?
What are the requirements again?
The ideal disciple should possess leadership, experience, faithfulness, and commitment to Christ.
Like whenever you denied him 3 times.
I asked you not to bring that up.
Maybe we're being a little harsh. I mean, none of us really had the requirements when Jesus first found us.
We need God's leadership, okay? He's got the next disciple picked out.
Yeah, but how are we gonna know?
Guys, I have an idea.
Parchment dagger stone! Parchment dagger stone! Parchment dagger stone!
Tune in for next week's exciting episode of Origins of the Early Church.
See, that was worth waiting for, wasn't it? All right, so let's talk about who volunteers are today and who your volunteers are. So this is a chance for you all just to get creative this afternoon. And because don't I look fabulous in a crown? Not the only crown I own. You know what Stephanie means? Means crown one. I'm just saying. My parents knew. Anyway, this is a chance for you all to get creative and to actually invest into a little bit of some fashionista. Apparently, this is Fashion Week in New York because I'm a big Project Runway watcher? Anybody? Project Runway? Love that show. Not that you can tell by this, you know. I still just wear what I wear. But anyway, I love Project Runway, and this is Fashion Week. And you get your own chance to do a little fashioning and be creative, because after all, we're youth people, right? So we're okay with getting up and moving around and getting creative. Here's what I'd like you to do. Oh my word, this could get crazy. You have 3 to 4 minutes to choose one of the people at your table to be your church's model. And, all of a sudden people are like, and everybody pointed at Chuck, and Chuck just, you heard it, Okay, so each one of you at your table, you're going to pick someone to be the model, and using only objects that you find in this room, I'd like you to fashion out what the best dressed volunteers are wearing. Not really actual clothes, but sort of qualities. What qualities do the best kind of volunteers in your church ministry, what qualities are they wearing? Or maybe,
I need visuals on that.
or maybe what qualities they don't have, something that represents that. So, for an example, that's a great question, Haley. For an example, there's some, music or something back in the back. So maybe one of the examples is that your youth ministry volunteer, ideal best dressed volunteer, listens or is familiar with what music your students are listening to, or listening to Christian music, or whatever. Or in the room, there's a chair over there, and maybe the best dressed volunteer, you put him on a chair, and because he's always willing to sit down with the student and look him face to face, eye to eye, and have a conversation. Kind of get it? So don't overthink it. You're not being graded. There's no prize. There might be a prize. Here's a prize. There's an apron and there's a kitchen. Just remember, anything you borrow, you have to put back. Are you ready? And be prepared to model your model. Got it? On your mark, get set, go. This ought to be good. Oh, Carlos is thinking. Willing to clean up? That's good, man. is awesome. So, you get to model your model, and you can walk the runway or this runway or wherever. You can also, probably should have a spokesperson for your model to tell us why your model is wearing what they're wearing, some of the qualities of the best dressed youth ministry, children's ministry type volunteers. Let's start with these guys first, because they're... Okay, let's give them our attention. This is amazing. Round of applause, please. Chuck. Would you like a microphone? I'll hold your picture.
Okay. Our volunteer has a basket for his creativity side. He has a cup and a little saucer there because you've got to feed your folks. And we've got a lot of great cooks at our church. Yay! He has the wonderful scarf because our volunteers need to be warm. We have salt for purification, which also goes along with our Germex because we're clean living and for you have to set a good example for your kids. What else we have? We have a smartphone because you have to have music and you have to be technologically savvy for kids these days. So we have that there. We have Cookie with Sprinkles, which represents people being fun. You have to be fun to kind of keep your kids interested.
What about the picture?
We have a picture because for transparency, because you have to be authentic with your kids, because they can tell if you're not being real with them. So we have the water for transparency. Vanna, we love that. We love our assistant Vanna, thank you. We also have, unfortunately, we have a filter, because sometimes you have to weed out the negativity that runs around our youth groups.
Negativity, no. That was negative, sorry. I interrupted. I'll go back to being transparent.
Okay, now, that's right. And now we also have the Bible because you need to be knowledgeable to teach our youth group. Do you have anything else in our bag? Yes, orange. Of the pointed basket for creativity. So here is our model.
Yay!
Thank you, darling.
Lovely. Next, please. Yes, you can. Oh, this is interesting. All great qualities. Let's have a round of applause for Trevor.
Okay, we have Trevor, and it's work apron because he's willing to work for the youth and with the youth. He is having a car wash, and he is washing this car to say so that he can help us raise money for warmth in winter, so that our children can go to warmth in winter. He has got his Bible with him so that he can teach them truths from the Bible. He has got food so that he can share snacks with them and get to know them personally. He has got his phones because he is always going to be in touch with them and talk to them and let them know about things and be in their life. He has got the Good Samaritan movie that he is going to model in himself so that others will be able to see his good side, being a good Samaritan, and model that after him. And our model, Trevor.
Okay, next one. Go. That's great. This is interesting. Here you go, Stephen.
This is our beautiful model, Penny. As you can tell, she's very experienced in her modeling. She has a crutch because she is someone we can all lean on. She has a tray because she serves others. Very sweet with a beautiful smile. And she has the Word of God to share it with others. And she has a calendar
He has a vision for the youth reality that is going today. Napkins for tears to console those in pain. A towel for the servant in him. A pen to plan for the youth. A Bible to carry the word of God to others. A phone, innovation, technology, keep in touch, and he likes to stand in one feet sometimes, be flexible for any situation. You all are amazing. Okay, who's next? Come on, Joyce. Great, this is great stuff. All great qualities.
Hi, this is Cora representing our youth. She has the earphones so she can be in tune with the youth. The creativity, she's an artist. We say that way she can be creative with her ideas for the youth, keeping them busy. The box. We have a box because she's a person who thinks outside of the box. And we have the adapter, the connectivity, because we're easy to talk to. She's listening to the youth, and she's able to connect with them. Okay. And the last thing, spiritual dancer. Spiritual dancer in that we can demonstrate the word as well as speak the word.
Great. I told Cora at lunch, I just wish she didn't talk so much. This is what she says. I already know what she's saying. She says, "Look with my eyes." But that may have been more like, I got my eye on you. All right, here you go. Lena.
Okay. We have a phone to communicate on all levels with our youth and with us, and to reach many people on many levels. We have our cup overflowing with scripture to help teach our youth and be their support. We have our lint brush in order to smooth out the rough edges. We have some B12 here for energy. We have Kleenex to help soothe the tears. We have the Aleve for the aches and pains that our youth go through to help them with. We have some vision drops to help see clearly the needs that we may have. We have real sugar, not artificial, for a little bit of sweetness, the real kind. Some money, because we always need donations, and then you can sit down. And we always need them to have wheels because we're always short supply for car drivers. And we have chocolate to entice them.
That was great. Now, you know what you're hearing here? Basically, instead of me telling you what should be in your volunteer expectation handbook, you've all just written it for one another. So, who wants to go next? Woohoo! That's right.
Presenting Angie.
Work it, girl. Work it.
Angie is wearing an apron because she's always cooking up new ideas for the kids. She's got her iPad, which is her Bible, and has the Bible on it. She has her smartphone because she's smart enough to keep in contact with all those kids through texts and emails as well as voicemail. She has a Coke. Why do you have a Coke? Oh, you need a little caffeine. That's right. A little caffeine.
You missed that
I
part.
forgot the Coke. Okay. We have Chex Mix because we're always checking up on those kids, especially warmth in winter. We have Kleenex to dry the tears and sometimes wipe up a little snot. Some of the kids, you know. We have a brownie, which is a sweet combination of both sweet and nuts, because that represents the kids and the youth leaders. And we have a candlestick, because a good volunteer is always willing to support those who go to shine.
Oops. Well, their name's like Mary Poppins.
That's right. We come prepared.
And money because, well, you gotta have money.
There's still more.
snacks. Keep those kids going.
And last but not least.
We have a pen, and if you've got some of these pens on your table, you may notice that they are from chrysalis. And a chrysalis is the agent for change from caterpillar to butterfly.
There
A
you
good
go.
volunteer helps that change to
Jay
happen.
Dolores. Awesome. Okay, next one. Next. Here we go. Are you from Alabama?
My husband played for Alabama.
Did he? Oh, we love you anyway.
She is from Alabama. Our model today is Jan, and as you can see, she is wearing her heart where everyone can see it. It is full of understanding and joy and patience and humor, willingness and love, all Christ-like qualities. And if these are obvious, people will come to you. And she, in turn, can give these gifts to others. Our model, Jane. Thank you.
Anybody left? Anybody? We got everybody? All right. So here's what I want you to do. Those were all great qualities, and like I said, the start of your youth ministry handbook, because you know what? You want one. Everybody needs a set of guidelines. You need some kind of code of conduct that says what the expectations are from the adults and the volunteers, what the expectations are of the students, what your expectations are, code of behavior, etc. But here's what I'd like you to do. I want you just to take a few minutes at your table to talk through these two questions. What are the struggles you face working with volunteers? And this is kind of geared towards the leaders at the table. And then what do you think frustrates your volunteers about working with you? All right? Or the metaphorical, like you, not you. All right? So go ahead and take a few minutes to talk through both those questions. And someone be ready to give some feedback to the large group. Okay? All right? Go.
Dedication.
all of you have this discussion. Maybe it's a discussion that you have on a regular basis. But if you don't, it's always good to talk about what's really working and what doesn't work. So let's hear some feedback from the first question. What are the common struggles that you face that you find working with volunteers? Let's hear from you. Willingness to do.
Just to volunteer.
Willingness just to say yes to begin with. What else?
Keeping people committed and interested.
Keeping them committed, keeping them interested. What else?
Time.
Oh, them having the time. And leaders having the time to do the recruiting and developing. You know, we have found it best that whatever time the key person, the youth director, the youth minister, the volunteer leader, whoever's leading the youth group, the largest percentage of the time spent, you would think the answer should be face-to-face with kids, but actually to do a ministry that grows, the largest percentage of time should be spent on developing the volunteer team. Recruiting, equipping, resourcing, getting the volunteers what they need to stay committed and interested. The second largest percentage of time then is spent in face-to-face with kids. But, you know, Jesus didn't do all of that himself. He had the 12 that he poured into, and then he was pouring into them, and his plan was that they then would affect 12 others and 12 others, and, you know, look where we are today. And so that's why, if you've got, say, 10 hours a week dedicated towards the youth ministry, 5 to 6 of those hours are spent just in equipping and developing your volunteers. And then they can affect more people. Okay, what else?
Ability.
Tommy, what'd you say? Oh, you mean, tell me more.
Well, the idea that some people might want to volunteer, but just don't have the...
Sure. They just don't know how to do it. Maybe. What else?
Variety of things, opinions that are important. Different people have different opinions about what is the most important thing.
Volunteers who have differing opinions of what should happen in the youth ministry, which happens, because, you know, remember that part we said about there's politics in church? I know, not in the United Methodist Church. I can't even say that without my nose growing, but that is a real struggle, and usually comes from a situation going back to that architectural language we used before, when a church hasn't created a clear set of blueprints for the youth ministry, then there's a lot of different opinions. Everybody's got an idea, and it's the best idea ever, but they're not the same ideas. So it makes the youth ministry tougher. What else?
We've had like people that want to volunteer, like if they know we're going to sing or do a play, they'll say, oh, if you're going to do a play, I want to help. And then you may already have something picked out, but oh, can we do my play? And then when they pick it out, they don't know the children well enough to know that most of the words in there they can't pronounce, or they don't know what it means. And then you end up having to rewrite the whole play to make that idea fit, because you don't want to turn away their volunteerism when they are volunteering for the first or second time.
Sure, kind of keeping them interested and not wanting to squelch their passion with the fact that they picked a play named after Mephibosheth, that one guy. How do you say it?
Mephibosheth.
Very good. I learned how to say it when West Wing was on, because President Bartlett talked about it, but I've lost, never mind. Got it. That's how you read that one chapter in Acts 2 at Pentecost. Have you ever had to read that publicly? And all those itites in it? You just go like you know it. And don't stumble. Okay, what do you think frustrates the volunteers that are working with you as leaders? You're the leader or you're in charge of something. What do you think frustrates the volunteers? What gets under their skin? Not being organized.
be too organized, but,
What do you mean by that, being too organized?
because you don't let yourself be a little flexible.
Sure. That, you know, we had that flexibility as one of those characters in our volunteer handbook, action line. What else? I saw a hand over here somewhere, I think. Maybe I didn't. I think it was scratching. Lena.
You know what you want it done and how you want it done, and trying to get them to do it that way, in a nice way. It's frustrating for both sides.
Sure, it can be frustrating when you have an idea and their idea is different, but you still want them to be able to do it. It'd be nice if they did it your way. Well, maybe you're not saying that.
Or sometimes the leader's not able to convey, they just automatically, they have it in their head and they're so running with it that they
Sure.
forget to say, oh, here's how we're gonna get there.
I suffer from that. That is, I have a finely tuned concrete sequential timeline. I'm very good at the A to B to Z to C, blah, blah, blah. I'm not always good at getting it from here out of here. I just forget to communicate it. Haley, and then Caro. Rock on.
I think it's kind of a basic truth of life that we all have weaknesses, and so the frustration, I think, for me, and also trying to find people who are able to work with me, is finding people who are strong in the ways in which I'm, because we all need people to kind of
Yes.
undergird us, but we have to know ourselves and know what our weaknesses are in order to find people who are strong in the ways in which we are.
Haley, brilliance right there. Write that down, people. All this was great. In recruiting people, know yourself and your qualities, not only your spiritual gifts, but your practical gifts also. And then look for people that fill that in. I had this, in my large youth group, I had this amazing volunteer team. There was 25 of us. And we were like when you go to this, like y'all went to warmth in winter, and y'all came back sick, so I don't know how warm it was, but, so whatever. You know that team that's always there that's large, and the youth group's large, and all the adults are in matching shirts, and really secretly you just hate them? But you don't say it because we love them, you know, whatever, patient and kind, whatever. That was my team. We'd all have our matching shirts, and we had all these kids, and we were just out there. We were so cool. And I had Youth Week, and so I had this friend come and be our speaker for Youth Week, and he says, well, he was Southern, and so, I'm in Tennessee, so all of a sudden, Judith. He says, Stephanie. I said, oh, God, what'd you think of my youth team? And he says, Stephanie, did you know that you had recruited 25 people just like you? And I said, yes, but that's great. And he, what'd you say, Chuck?
No.
It isn't, exactly. He said, what about your introverted kids? I was talking to that kid that's a one-on-one type. Who's sweeping the wall? Who's looking for the kids that kind of hang out on the edge? And I was like, wow, I never, ever thought of it that way. And so, Haley, you're right on the money with that. Look for people that complement, not compliment, but look for those two. Compliment who you are and what you aren't. Cora.
I think it has to be spiritual aspect.
I think you have too many people. It's a personal instead of spiritual. You have to be spiritually happy to volunteer or leader. And if you don't have this spiritualness about you, it's not, you're going to clash.
Oh, that's good. What she said in her quiet voice, it was brilliant. She probably saw a light bulb going on over her head. She said, and tell me if I'm wrong, give me the look if I'm, you also have to have that spiritualness. You have, I think even in your volunteer team, you still have to be evenly yoked. And because you're going to clash if there isn't some spiritual connection between you and your volunteers. I had a church that we did an assessment, and I didn't know what to do with this one. They had 2 professing atheists on their youth ministry volunteer volunteer adult team. It was in Canada, so we're safe. I don't know what to do with that. That's just, yeah, I knew what to do with it, but I ain't gonna tell you how it ended. But, and it ended good. Yeah, what else? A couple more. Lucretia, right?
We talk about our plan and not doing things our way, but it's also important to realize that God can speak to other people too. And
Yes.
if it's not our plan, He can work through it.
We aren't the know-all and end-all to knowing what youth ministry is. And boy, I, after this many years, love if someone says, how about if we try it this way instead? Well, I'll give you a good example. Brad today, I had set up the school doc, and you've got the code to it, the QR code, but he set up something even better with the emoto, which doesn't that sound like a dragon to you? But anyway. And so why not listen to him and go with that, because it's a better idea. I don't care if you use my QR code or not. It's just a better place, and it's a better piece of technology for us to use. But let me tell you this. If there's any of you sitting around the table concerned about the technology of all this, don't be. We'll work through it. Like when I talk with your church one-on-one, don't forget to sign up for your coaching sessions, because so far there's only 8 churches that have signed up. You got one for March and one for April. Make sure you get signed up, but if you have any issues with that, we'll figure it out, okay? So don't worry. Let's look at who today's volunteers are and what they expect. First of all, this is from a book called, gosh, I quote it all the time, Volunteer in the 21st Century. Oh, A New Breed of Volunteers by Jonathan McKee. And it's even been rewritten. It came out just like 5 years ago and has been updated, The Volunteer in the 21st Century. Believe it or not, volunteerism today in America is at an all-time high. And that may be shocking to you because it feels like volunteerism is at an all-time low in the church. It's at an all-time high. There's people with a little bit more time on their hands. They're just not volunteering in the church. Because A, there's not as many people in the church, and B, there's too many things about volunteering in the church that drives volunteers crazy. So there's plenty out there. We just have to figure out what we're doing that's not capturing them and how we can be a little more intentional getting them. Number 2 is today's volunteers are busier than ever. For an example, the reason why we're talking about volunteers today in this first cohort day is that in the YMA world, in Youth Ministry Architects, we consider February and March volunteer recruiting fishing season. And so that's why I had you come up with, at lunchtime, your list of volunteer needs. The reason why we're suggesting you do your recruiting now is you're recruiting for the 2013-2014 school year. I know it's only February, and you're already recruiting for next August or September. But here's why. If you don't get a commitment, someone else will. In my town, for example, I travel maybe 15 to 18 days a month. But I'm home a lot on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays. And so there's a friend in town that's a youth pastor that asked me, could I help lead a Wednesday night small group? And I said, that'd be great. But it has to be planned ahead of time, and I have to have someone to match with me for the occasional Wednesday I might be gone. But she asked so far in advance that I was able to say yes. But if she asked me for the summer already, I'd have to say no, because I'm already booked this summer. Isn't your calendar just already filled up? So to get the best people, and remember, if you want something done well, you ask a busy person. It's true. So if you want the best people in your church to be a part of your ministry, you start asking them and equipping them now for the next school year. Otherwise, the junior league will get them, or the PTA, and it's done. Today's volunteers are smart and they want more. They are smart, and here's what we mean by that. 20 years ago, before Al Gore invented the internet, did we have internet 20 years ago? 1993? Did we? I didn't. I can't believe how far I've come, but anyway. Thank you, Haley. Where computers were the size of this room. Anyway, we didn't have to be quite so sharp in giving our volunteers what they needed. But today, in today's work world especially, where things are sharp, they're fast, they're online, they're in the cloud, volunteers don't want to wait around till you print out on the church copier the monthly calendar and stick it in the snail mail and send it to them, and they get it 9 days late. Did I get a nerve? Get it 9 days late into the month. Volunteers want to be able to click on Google Calendar or wherever you keep your info and have it there. They want to know what the calendar is for the youth ministry for the next 12 months. Your youth ministry calendar should be planned out 12 months from now, and so someone can click on it and see it. Volunteers need to have their time spent well, going to that fourth thing. Volunteers today, in the world they work in, where that kind of thing probably would be tolerated in the workplace, get easily frustrated then in the church. And that fly by the seat of your pants, for years youth ministers sort of survived on the it's easier to ask for forgiveness than permission, dynamic. It doesn't fly as easily now. And so what happens with volunteers is they get frustrated. They don't want to put up with incompetence. And they don't mean it in a cruel way. But if things don't get better, they're gone. Here's what will happen. Let's pretend that Susan's the youth director and I'm one of your volunteers. Volunteers will never come to Susan and say something like, Susan, I think you're a wonderful youth leader. You're just really great, but you drive me crazy because I don't get the outline for Sunday night until I walk in the door 5 minutes, and I've asked it to be emailed, and the calendar this month came out 3 weeks late, and I wanted to sign up for the mission trip, but you asked me 2 days before you left, and so I just need to let you know I'm going to quit being a volunteer. That doesn't usually happen, and Susan's none of those things, I'm sure. What happens is, tell me if this has happened to you, is that one Sunday I don't show up. I got that nasty flu that's running around the world, and so I can't come tonight. And then the next night, I gotta help my mother connect with cable TV. And then the next Sunday night goes. And then I just think, maybe she won't notice I'm not there. And eventually 4 or 5 weeks go, and the volunteers have just drifted away. And that's how it usually goes. And what's happened is they've just decided it's too frustrating. They're not equipped, they just don't have the info they need, something's not clicking, and they leave. Okay, so we're going to talk about what to do with that. How do you invite people to then join your team? This is going to be great. Let's look at recruiting styles. I have seen some interesting recruiting styles over the years. So what I would love is 4 of you to come up here and help me with a little bit of a dramatic role play. You may either volunteer or I will voluntold. Come on, Chuck, 2 more. Yay, Cora! Oh, here we go, I'm Haley. Okay, now, we're good, we just need the 4. Or, well, we can use 5. That's okay. We'll use you. Okay, the rest of you, I want you to talk. Here's your topic. Don't listen to what we're talking about because we want to surprise you. Talk about how awesome the Tennessee conference is and all the stuff they put on for youth ministry. Okay, talk amongst yourselves.
Talk louder.
Our first recruiting style, see if you recognize yourself in this, is Cora, and guess which one she is. Go.
Yes, Caro.
In case she didn't hear it, she said, I'll even put it on Facebook. Just do this one thing. Okay, let's have Jane do yours and see if you can guess.
Okay, I want y'all to help me. We're gonna plan some things about vacation Bible school, but don't worry, I'll do all the work, okay? All right, you can just be on my committee, and you won't have to do anything. You just have to be on my committee, okay?
Which one do you guess? The do-it-yourselfer. Okay, let's see. You two, Chuck and Haley.
Sounds good. I'm going to give you the best room there is there. You'll get everything will be top notch. I'll have somebody at your feet anytime you call. We'll always be
where
there.
are we going?
Taking care. We'll go wherever you want to go. It doesn't matter. We will make it work. I'll make it work for you.
And what are we doing?
Well, we'll do whatever will make you happy. I'm here to make sure that what you want, it will be taken care of.
So I don't have to do anything?
No.
Just drink coffee?
This is your
On a
time
mission
to
trip.
relax. Yeah. We're here to make sure that it's your happiness. We're here for you.
Little do you know, is I told him to say, and it's a mission trip. so you know how that goes. Okay, and last but not least. There you go. Okay, you guessed the longer. Thank you. Big round of applause. Phew. Okay, so did any of you recognize your recruiting style or a little bit of a combo in there? Who's willing to share? Come on, confess. All right, Chandra, give it up.
I used to be a huge do-it-yourself, and then because I felt like I was having to be a beggar if I got volunteers. Then I started working on our team and working together, and it took a long time to learn how to delegate stuff out and not be in total control. But once upon a time, I was a huge do-it-yourself.
I feel like this is 12 steps. Bye, Chandra. Haley.
I am totally a cruise director, and if that doesn't work, I will very quickly revert to being a beggar.
Cruise director to beggar. What else? Yes.
We're pretty much the Lone Ranger, and then we go to the beggar, and then it's the do-it-yourselfer.
Okay, anybody else? My style in this is I will I'm a pretty good combination, which is sort of weird, between the cruise director and the do-it-yourselfer. This is going to be the best trip ever. You know what? I may even deliver Starbucks to your door every morning. It's going to be great. Oh, no, you won't shower where 200 feet have already been before it'll be great. And then sometimes it's like when you ask your kids to clean their room, it's just easier to do it yourself. So I will tend to float to that. Let's look at these 4 styles. And this may or not be entirely true for you, but here's generally where these styles are coming from in the youth ministry world as I've known it. The beggar. The beggar youth recruiter type is generally the very unprepared one, leans a little bit towards unorganized. So they have waited so long that it's Thursday before they leave on the retreat on Friday. And so they're at this point where they're begging. Oh my gosh, if you don't go, but none of the girls will get to go, and then they won't hear about Jesus, and then they'll go to Hades, and it'll be all your fault. It's the recruiter that stands up. Well, actually, this one I think is justified. Do any of y'all do a pumpkin patch? It's from Satan, let me tell you. And so I'll actually get up and beg for people to do the pumpkin patch shifts. The beggar tends to lean towards, not always, tends to lean towards the younger youth director who is cute and adorable and just figures that that will get them through the fact that they haven't planned, maybe they haven't learned good organizational skills, and so they find themselves kind of desperate towards the end. Whereas the cruise director, you know what the main issue with the cruise director recruiter type is? They're afraid of the word no. So they know they need to ask. And this tends to lean towards females recruiting a little bit more than males, because we don't want anybody to tell us no. It's not that we're not planned ahead. We're really pretty planned ahead. But we just don't want to hear no, so we'll just make all the positives we can out of it. And we'll just make it sound so good. And you won't even have, I'll bring you a queen-size double high air mattress with brand new 600 count sheets on it if you'll just say yes. Who would want that? The do-it-yourselfer. There's one key quality that I've seen among most do-it-yourselfer volunteer recruiters, and that is, well, they share something with the Lone Ranger. Anybody want to guess? A little bit of control issues. Know what I'm saying? The do-it-yourselfer, I'm not sure, they all have their issues. I'm not sure which one can be more harming, the do-it-yourselfer or the Lone Ranger. The do-it-yourselfer at least asks people. And Jane did such a great job with describing this, because she had her team, but then she recruited a team and didn't give them anything to do. And that's like handing them a card that says, do not pass go, do not collect $200. They're just going to walk out the back door. My time is valuable and I want to work hard, and I will work hard for you, but give me a job to do and let me do it. So Jane tended to want to do it herself. She put her team together, but I had a feeling she wanted that VBS team to go the way she wanted it to go. So that person has a little bit of a control thing. Whereas the Lone Ranger never even asks. The Lone Ranger volunteer recruiter hasn't made a list of all the volunteer needs. The volunteer Lone Ranger type is usually one end of the pendulum or the other. They're either very controlling or they're so poorly planned that they are doing it at the last minute, and it's just less embarrassing to do it themselves rather than to admit to all of their adults and parents that they forgot to book hotels for the trip on the way to Wilderness Trail. Not that that ever happened to me. Yes, ma'am.
I disagree.
Go for it.
Well,
I love that about you.
Because, I agree that I am controlling, and
I didn't say you were controlling.
I never heard you say her name.
Because YMI really helped me and my group learn how to delegate, and we are good planners. And they'll tell you I have every activity planned out from beginning to end.
Love it.
What time we're gonna leave, and I even give my kids a packing list.
I love it.
So we are very organized. But
Great.
it's easier for us to do it
if that's not the case, if the church doesn't have buy-in to the student leadership concept, then that's true. Eventually it'll come back to you, or someone will say, isn't that what we pay you to do? But by involving more people does increase buy-in, and is more sustainable in the sense that you all may not always be able to volunteer, or something may happen to you. Please pardon me for saying this. It wasn't my idea. It was a Presbyterian church. Those people, they call it, what if you get hit by a beer truck principle? I don't know what they're thinking. And so this one church described it as, what happens if you have it all, and you get hit by a beer truck, and then it all goes with you, and no one else has a piece of it. And then that's not a sustainable concept. You get what I'm saying? So I think you're on the right track. I love having things planned. In fact, I love volunteering when they're planned, and someone just says to me, this is your piece, this is your book, this is go for it. I'm all over that, like ants on rancid spam. So, okay, here's what we're going to do. It says we're scheduled for a break in a few minutes, but we're going to take it now because, well, never mind. So it's what, 2:05? Let's take a break now until about 2:15. We'll be back. Got it? Everybody good? All right.
That's awesome. Tell them what to do, or they go and sit herself. I know. Well, sometimes people have the role of just being the recruiter. That's a volunteer role in and of itself, I think. Oh, okay. Thank you. Oh, thank you. I'll see you next time. Yes, and we'll have our... Okay, you got both of them? There's one each one. Sounds good. Thank you for going. It's been delightful.
What do you need?
Oh, I forgot a slide, so that's why we took the break earlier.
Some water or anything?
No, I'm good. I just forgot a slide, so I thought, well, we're almost there. Everything going okay?